put that car.
Hey guys, welcome back. Coffee with Closers, another episode. Today is Wednesday, December 15th. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Gavin Timms. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Bryson Duval. Bryson, how the hell are you, my friend? You, man.
Yeah, man. I used to see you every day, man. I miss being at the Brentwood office and, being able to collaborate with you and Mike on a daily basis and, talk shop. But been well, man, cranking it out, growing the team over here. We're down in the Central West End now, but yeah, man, just trying to scale up so I can spend more time building wealth.
I love it, man. I love it. So yeah, Bryson has been a good buddy of mine, Gavin, for I don't even know, 10 plus years, I'd say, give or take. Long time.
I met you when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I feel like I've known this dude forever, man. This is my buddy here. This is my buddy. Yep. So yeah,
good to meet you, bud.
Yeah,
nice
Bryson's
to meet you too, man.
He's been in the real estate game for probably about 5 years, give or take, 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years?
Probably. I think I originally reached out to you about wholesaling and real estate in general, probably like around I know it was like maybe fall sometime, maybe about 4 years ago. I didn't really get started then necessarily, but yeah, I started looking into it and taking some steps to get started. That's for sure.
Well, tell us about that journey real quick, man. So you started about 4 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. I had no idea about wholesaling and that side of the business until I connected with you. I think I might have saw you. I think you were doing like Illinois deals at that time, maybe Possible. I think you were doing a couple deals here and there, and you were like, "Hey, man, it's pretty hard work, and making a few $1,000s, selling contracts, and it was still super foreign to me. I knew people that flipped houses. I knew, my parents are, long time, property owners, landlords, ever since I've been before I was born, but." That was the extent of my knowledge. So I didn't know of any type of creative real estate or anything that was unconventional. And yeah, I reached out to you. I think that's right when you had dropped your free wholesale course, and you invited me to kind of tag along. You're like, "Hey dude, watch the course, 10 times, I think you said, and just get a fundamental knowledge of the A to Z of at least the steps to complete a wholesale deal." Sounded super easy. It was very simple, but I thought it was way easier than it actually is.
Simple, not easy.
Not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Simple,
so I mean, it was a great explanation for us. I'm like, dude, yeah, I mean, I like sales, I like people, I like money. So hell yeah, let's get started, right?
Right.
And I started a little bit. A bunch of people were doing direct mail, it's getting back more popular in a lot of businesses. I think what I've seen, at least in my peers at this time.
Man. Coming back.
Exactly. But at that time, it was really popular, people sending out mailers at that time. So, I made the rookie mistake of betting every dollar I had in my bank account on a direct mail campaign, one campaign. And, got a couple calls back, nothing that panned out to anything. So, spent almost $3,000 on that direct mail drop. And then I was like, okay, well, there goes that money. How do I find a deal now? And that's when, you kind of were like, hey, bro, you can call Craigslist, and you can call Zillow for rent. You can call all the free resources to drum up some business. And, I guess the first deal I did with you was a guy I found on Craigslist. I think you guys held that rental for a while in Florissant. And then the one in Jennings as well, same thing. Saw a guy on Craigslist, no pictures. I remember that's what you told me. He's like, dude, go for the people who don't have a picture of the house.
Yeah, because
needs work. Always needs work.
it needs work, and less people be going after those ones.
When was the last time you seen a rehabbed house with no pictures?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't even know the last time I've been on Craigslist. So, so
that too.
This was, so I'm sitting around I'm working at my dad's foundation, and, I don't have a license or anything like that. So I'm just literally like on computer going all day throughout Zillow while I'm, supposed to be working on the clock for him, but I'm doing this on the computer trying to find a deal. And, I'm like, Dave, what do you think about this? Can you get to this appointment? Can you do this? Like, I have no idea what Dave was even doing at the appointment. I just knew I was trying to get a deal done, and we did a couple deals that way. And then I think my next 2 deals came from bandit signs. So I was just going the cheap way, to just drum up some business, and made some, pretty quickly, several $1,000s doing that. But I think I got to a place where, I was also going through a lot of like personal issues at this time, and coming out of a pretty dark place in my life. So I think I didn't have the mindset to like be consistent in anything. I also didn't have like a vision at all for my life. I knew I didn't want to like work a 9 to 5, but I also hadn't developed like the discipline or commitment to do something like wholesaling. So, I kind of went back and forth, going in and out of like, marketing, and then quitting, and then saying, okay, let's go get some more bandit signs. Let's try to get some deals again, or let's try to call some people. But I was never consistent. I never had a clear plan, clear marketing plan, or clear marketing strategy. I was just kind of throwing darts at a board, and I wasn't even consistent in doing that. So, I got to a point where I was, graduating college, and, I took a job where, I knew it wasn't going to be something that was sustainable for me. I regretted the decision from the first day, but at the same time, I really needed that, because I remember I had a conversation, actually, I remember, with Dave, and, I was saying that he's like, yeah, I mean, go take the job, whatever. It'll quickly be a lesson, or, there's nothing bad that will happen. He's like, you take the job, and then you'll either realize that you have to work hard in real estate and make it work, or you'll be at that job, and that's exactly what happened, and it was pretty simple. So now, like, yeah, at the time I regretted it going in, but now I don't. I quickly realized, like, okay, this is like the consequence. I was out of college now. It was complete real life, so it's like, it's different when I'm kind of depending on parents, have that type of safety net of college, like I'm doing things for something constructive and working for my father. Then it's like, like it's sink or swim. And I'm like, dude, I am not going to be at this freaking job for the rest of my life. There's no way in hell. So then it clicked in, like, okay, well, if I've identified what my desire is, now I have to have a plan. I have to be consistent, and I knew the consequence of that lack of consistency. It would be a life that I would regret.
Man, I want to repeat what you just said. You said the consequences of my lack of consistency.
Yeah,
that's a really good way to frame it.
Yeah. I had to get real, man. I had to write these things down. I looked at the people that I worked with, and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be that person in 10 years. There's no freaking way, and they were nice people. They gave me all the tools to succeed in that job. I have not one bad word to say about them,
Oh, yeah. And
great family people.
That's never the intention. It's just
absolutely
something that you want to do for the rest of your life. And, that's the thing about jobs is, not all jobs are bad. Not all jobs are miserable for people to get up every day and go do. I think a lot of them are, but not all. I mean, there's
not
a lot
all
of people that love their job, and that's great. I just feel like that there's a lot of people, there's more people, that aren't happy and or content, with that job. So you were one of those. I was one of those. I'm pretty confident Gavin was one of those type of people here too, where we were just like, the whole job thing, it's okay. It helps feed, helps pay the bills and feed me and my family, but I'm not in love with this thing, this task, this duty every day.
It's the willingness though to change, right? It's the willingness to make them changes to create obviously where we all are now. And I think that's the difference. You know, people that are watching us right now are probably watching us from work in the 9 to 5, hate it, suck. They've been watching us for a year. They've been in trying to do real estate for 6 years, and they're still complaining because they're in the 9 to 5. And what often happens is that they do the same things every single day and expect to change, but they're not willing to change. And that's the difference. If you want a different outcome, you got to change. You got to make things, you got to do things differently, as you've just said, Bryson, to get out of that. And the cool thing is from your story is, yeah, you did it the hard way, right? You did it the grinding way, right? Like I did, probably like Dave did. You know, if you're not working, you're not making money. And that's where the inconsistency comes in, because the inconsistency was you. So when you showed up and applied yourself, you made money. And then you kick back, you made some money, you chill out, you let it all go. And there's the roller coaster right there of wholesaling. Until you wise up. You know, you wise up and you go, you know what? Like, if I need to be consistent. And then when you make money and you start developing systems and things like that, you know, that's why kind of me and Dave are, I don't know about yourself, but now we have people doing it. We have systems doing it. So while we want to have a downtime day, things are still happening. Money's still being made, but it takes time to get there. And that's all about, you know, part of that vision as well. So I think that's super cool and super powerful.
So D-Lo here says, thank you, Gavin. I'm literally on a forklift right now listening to what you're saying. So like, you know what? I got to hand it to this guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's at his job. He may or may not like it, but he's putting in the work right now to learn and educate himself on how he can make money and do deals and hopefully quit that job. So
absolutely. And the goal is
but if I did, I'm taking it off too.
There we go.
And I think, you know, that's super cool, because then it's like, well, what's he going to do, right? He's educating him while being on this forklift, but then he's got to come up with a plan to get out, to get off that, to then go and 10 times his income. And I'm sure forklift drivers make a decent living, right? But nothing like you can do in real estate. I mean, time and freedom is just everything.
That's exactly right. So guys, if you're watching or listening, this is a live show here today. We do encourage audience interaction. If you have comments, please drop them below if you're on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever you're watching this. And if you have questions for Gavin or I and or for Bryson as well, please drop those in. So Matt says, I actually think real estate is harder in the short term. Prospecting all day beats you up. And you know what, Matt? It
100%.
does, man. Prospecting all day. Here's the thing, man. Real estate isn't necessarily the easy button. But there are ways in which we can run our real estate businesses. And this is actually one of the questions I have for Bryson next here. You know, there's ways in which we can run our real estate businesses that we can embrace our team, our employees, our virtual assistants to help lighten that load. But if we don't have a team, we're doing all of the tasks. And I agree with Matt. You know, Matt says, I think real estate is harder in the short term. And, you know, anything that is going to get you ahead in life isn't going to be an easy thing. It's something that you're going to have to put some time and energy into. So with that being said, Bryson, tell us a little bit about your team and how many deals have you got under your belt at this point? Do you have any idea?
That's a great question, man. Total, probably right at like, I'd have to say probably like right around 70, I think.
That's a ton of deals, man.
Yeah.
That's a ton of deals. That's awesome.
Yeah. So right now we're right at, you know, we're averaging 4 to 5 a month, you know.
That's a ton of deals. Yeah.
So we are, you know, in regards to team, you know, it's me and Lauren in acquisitions right now. I'm actually my guy that is actually starting in acquisitions tomorrow. So we're adding him on there because it's you know, that I'm still in the place where it's like I still have to close the deals though. You know, if I'm out of town and I can't, you know, close a contract or get on the phone with the seller and say, hey, you know, we came to an agreement, cool, do all that part of the process or go to an appointment or, you know, meet them to sign a contract, then we're still not making money. We can get all the leads in the world, but it doesn't really matter if nobody's closing the deal, right?
Yep.
So, we have a cold calling operation. That's all of our marketing right now. We're actually going to launch PPC Q1, and get back to probably a little bit of texting as well, and some direct mail on a small basis, kind of niche and targeted on both of those.
Sure.
But yeah, it's to go back to what Matt said, it's like, yeah, I mean, most people aren't willing to get on a dialer for 4 hours a day. It's hard work. That's when I proved to myself. I think it was huge for me to commit to that, because it's like I had a minimum goal of getting off of work, and everybody would leave that office really early and we would start early. So I'd be done with work at like 4, so I would have to, I was like, I can't go home or do anything until I stay on the dialer for at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, which is awesome, and it's super difficult to do as well.
Yeah, that's impressive, man.
It depends on how much you want it. It really
that's
does.
what I mean.
How much do you want it? Because I don't know anybody in real estate that puts in effort that doesn't get results over a period of time. Over a period of time, it just doesn't.
It's not going to happen the first day. You put in a little effort.
Absolutely, you can't be on the dial for 4 hours and go, that didn't work.
But if you're consistent, that's one of the things that Gavin or that Bryson was saying is that, in the beginning he was inconsistent and he knows it.
Yep.
And I was too when I first started. I think we all kind of were. We would put a little bit of money into a campaign and we would get some calls, and maybe we would get excited about a call or two. Maybe we'd get excited about an appointment or two, but then it would be kind of deflating when you don't get a deal and you're like, man. And I have a student right now he's 17. And he just sent me a message yesterday, and he said, hey, man, I'm sending out several hundred text messages a day. And he's like, how long is it going to take me to get a deal? And my response to him is just keep doing what you're doing. I don't think you're going to get a deal today. And it's probably pretty unlikely that you're going to get a deal this week. But the goal is to be consistent, add these leads into your funnel, into your system, and then follow up with these people. And that's really where the deals happen. That's where the magic happens. It's in the follow-up. Now, of course, if we talk to enough people, we all know this. If we talk to enough people, we're going to stumble across a deal. But the deals that we get from the first contact or the contact that's right away, I mean, those are the rarities. Right, those are the ones
hanging fruit.
That's I think as well, though. Like, when was the last person that focuses on when's the deal going to come? How long is it going to take to get a deal? They don't get a deal because their energy and focus is going on the outcome, not on the day-to-day activity.
That's an excellent.
So to the 17-year-old, for me, I'd be saying to him, like, look, you got to just do today. Like, you just keep picking up that phone, and the next person's going to say yes. And if you do it enough, someone's going to say yes. And the more you do that, the faster the outcome's automatically going to happen at that point. And it's just trying to retrain the mind, because if you start focusing on that outcome and I need money in 30 days and I got to close a deal in 30 days, your deal ain't coming. It ain't coming.
Yeah, I mean, it could. It's possible, but it's probably not.
No,
you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you if you just act on it, it'll come,
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that comment, especially I think with the spirit it's coming from Gavin, because if you trust the process, you attract the money. I think is kind of how I understand it. If I focus on just having quality conversations today, that's when I get the best results. If I look at things like how, where's the guy I need, maybe this is the best person to talk to right now, and I'm trying to kind of cheat the process because I think it's a quicker way to get results. I'm still guilty of it today, and plenty of parts of my life, and it's like it really does prolong the results. I get those messages, people, our former students, or people on Instagram saying, how long did it take you to get a deal? How long did it blah blah blah? And it's like, I get it. You're trying to size up, and set some type of expectation, but at the same time, it's like
energy, time, and money they're going to have to put into it to see a return.
But you can't negotiate on the front end.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't negotiate with success like that. It's like
some people,
it's counterproductive.
when they do that first deal, it may not even be profitable. Meaning they may have spent $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 worth of marketing and or hours and hours. Yeah, time, right? Time and money. That's really what it comes down to. And then they get that first deal and it may not even pay them back, but what it does do is it gives them confidence. Absolutely. And it gives them some experience out in the field or dealing with these sellers. And I keep going back to this with my current students is finding a motivated seller is obviously the goal, but it's not and I think Gavin kind of touched on this really well. It's not the goal every day, though. That's the big picture goal, right? And I feel like I've been at this for over 7 years at this point, full time. And I feel like the first 2 or 3 years I was at it, I was getting up every day. I was going into the office and I was like, man, I'm going to find that motivated seller today. And I'd get on the phone with people and I'd almost try to convince them that they were motivated. And that's such a wrong approach.
Yeah. And it comes across as well. Like the seller knows.
Well, you talk to enough people, you're going to stumble across a motivated seller, period. It's going to happen, right? But what I've done over the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years is I've kind of come to the realization that I can't force people to be motivated. In fact, I can't even really convince them to be motivated. They have to choose that. They have to be motivated. They have to choose to sell that property to the three of us at a discount in exchange for some convenience. So what I can do and what I can control, and Bryson, I'm going to repeat what you said, is I can have quality conversations with people. I can build rapport. And if you're unfamiliar with what rapport is, it's nothing really more than getting somebody to know you, like you, and trust you. Right? Yep. And then when I build a bunch of these quality relationships, and all three of us are doing this at this point, we can follow up with these people. And I'm not saying you need to follow up with them every day or every other day, but maybe once, in certain cases, weekly, in other cases, monthly, in other cases, quarterly. I mean, we have people in our follow-up system that we set a call to follow up with them in 9 or 10 months in some cases. Oh, I just rented the property. I'm good. All right, cool. How long's the lease? It's a year. Cool. I'll call you in 8 months and see if the tenant's still there. Yeah. Totally.
Think like
is building a pipeline of a lot of people that you've had. And again, I'm going to repeat, Bryson, quality conversations with. You built rapport. You've got them to at least know you and hopefully like you. And the trust part can come later, right? But you got to build rapport with these people. You can't force them to be motivated. But what you can do is you can be there to help them when they are motivated. And I think that's a big takeaway because I struggle with that for probably about 2 years. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It was a long time.
Yeah.
But now
You're exactly right.
I can't force them to be motivated. And if we stumble across somebody that needs to sell now, awesome. That's icing on the cake. But that's not the norm. The norm is having those quality conversations, making friends. I always tell that to my students. I haven't even said that yet. Just make friends. You guys don't know what to say. Just make a friend with people. That's it. Yeah. You don't need a call script. Call scripts are great, of course, because they help guide you, right? But at the end of the day, I'm off script pretty much within 10 seconds. Because if they want to talk about their dog or their Aunt Sue or their bum knee, I messed up my knee with hockey last night, or their bum knee, I'm going to listen to them.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to get them to know and like and hopefully trust me. That's what the rapport building process looks like. It's building those quality conversations.
I think you're 100% right. And I'd question, I think it was Matt, was saying like, oh, real estate is, harder at the start. But I think everything we do is harder at the start.
Yeah.
You
absolutely.
don't know how to do something. Just the guy that was on the forklift, right? I'm sure his first week was much harder. Now he can probably do everything with his eyes closed, right? It's the same in real estate. When you get in, you can't expect results overnight. Just like going to college. If you can go and get a degree, it's 3 to 4 years to get a degree. Which people come into real estate and want to be successful in a week. It makes no sense. So you have to give it time and consistent to get where you're going. And if you're willing to do that, I don't know another industry other than real estate, or a better one than real estate, that can make the money that you want, that can give you the lifestyle you want, because you literally pick it. You choose by building systems and teams. You can grow as big as you want to be. You can do as many deals as you want. You just have to do more of everything. Once the foundation is built, you know, if Bryce is doing 4 or 5 deals a month, maybe that he's content. Maybe you don't want 15 deals, 20 deals a month. You know, I don't want 20 deals a month, because I don't want to build the team and put the resources
and
in
have to
get
manage
me there.
the team and pay the team.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we probably peaked in terms of, you know, we're doing a lot less wholesales these days because we're focused on building wealth. We're focused on buying rentals, and we still do some wholesales. You know, we probably do 2 or 3 a month at this point. But I remember when we were at our peak, and Bryson was working with me at this point in time, or at least nearby. But, you know, we were doing 10, 12 deals a month. And man, it was a lot of work, you know, managing all those people, managing all those appointments, managing all those contracts, managing all of those systems. Yeah, I mean, I love that we're having this conversation, because more isn't always more. And in fact, you got to find that happy medium that is something that you can sustain, because you got to be consistent, right? And if you can't sustain that consistency, it's, you know, it's not a good thing, right? Yeah. But also you want to make sure that you're building a business that serves you. And I'm still doing this. I'm still working on that. And I'm not above that, or you guys. That's not what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. We're all learning how to do this here, right? We're all trying to build out these teams and these systems. But, you know, sometimes I'll get myself into a rut where I'm like, man, I work like 12 hours today. I'm like, man, that's not why I got in this business. I got in this business so I could have some time freedom, some financial freedom. And it's a good reminder, though, because it keeps bringing me back to, you know, the wholesaling is a great business, but it's transactional. And once you finish a deal, you're right back on to the next one, right? So I've kind of pivoted over the last couple of years to say, you know what, I'm going to still wholesale, because it's really marketing, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know,
finding the good deals.
You're handpicking. You're handpicking the ones. Handpick the ones you want and wholesale the rest, right?
That's exactly right.
And that's part of your vision of what you're doing. And I think everyone listening to this needs to have their own vision. And it's cool to have someone on like, you know, Bryson, that's been in you know, 4 years and telling his story, because I think sometimes as educators, influencers, right, people get disconnected sometimes. And I think, you know, we, as in me, Dave, and Don, as we speak every week, try and give you the good, bad, the ugly, right? To give you reality, like, hey, we're still here, we're still struggling, we're still, you know, doing things. Like this week, we just did a flip in Alabama for over 300,000, right? And we sold it, and because my LLC is out of state, and they've now want like my whole like accounting for this property before they release funds. I didn't know that, so they won't release. So my funds are in escrow, because I've done flips. We've done tons of deals with wholesale deals, but because I took this and flipped it and it was over a certain amount to sell it, they're like, oh yeah, we're not paying you. We need all this. And I'm like, well, I ain't got all that yet. Like, you know, I'm not on top of that. And they're like, well, we're holding the funds until you get it. I'm
you
like,
live and you learn.
You learn, don't you? Right. So I'm like, okay, cool. So if your LLC is out of state and you take a property to fix and flip, and then you go to sell it, they want to see that, because they're going to hold the taxes. Basically, they're going to report to the IRS and hold taxes on what I make. So I'm like, this is outrageous. Why do you need to know what I'm making? Like, and they were having none of it. And I'm like, yeah, because your LLC is this and that. And I've done hundreds of deals in virtual, you know? So you live and learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all in it. You're always learning. And it's just the way the way real estate is.
I love it.
Absolutely. I love it. I think one thing, you know, Gavin, you touched on building your own vision, and this is something that I've had to battle through in my journey, is because, you know, just like you said, people are watching this show right now, and me, you, you know, Dave, we all have some type of content that we consume at some point or the other. Maybe a mentor, somebody else we look up to, or peers in the business, and we look at theirs. Maybe we go to a mastermind, maybe we go to their coaching group, whatever it is. And, I'll speak for myself that, it can be very easy to want to take on someone else's vision if you're not extremely clear.
100%. That's awesome.
That's a great point.
It's really, because I've been to a place and I'm like, am I like, do I want this things? Like, what part of that am I attracted to? Is it like the income? Is it like the fame? Is it the influence? Is it, what part really matters to me? Or what part is just like cool, or I think would be cool?
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't align with who I am and my true self, like at all.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to learn that through coaching, through doing my own branding, just my own personal journey. Like, sometimes you have to sit back and get 100% focused on yourself and be clear about what you want in life. Like, money's great, but it's like, do you want a freaking boiler room in your office, or do you want to just have a ton of net profit? Do you want to have a ton of deals? Do you want to have a ton of cash flow that's passive? What do you want? And what like you said, how do you want to experience life? Like, when you have, I always think like when I have a wife, when I have a kid, like what does that look like for me as a businessman then? 100%. So I started to I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like accelerate this delegation process and put myself and set myself up to have a fruitful life. Like, money's great, that's awesome, but I guess the more I make of it, the less attached I get to it.
100%. I mean, you just absolutely nailed it. And trying to hold on to your vision as well is critical. And I'll just tell you a quick story real quick. Me and Dave were together at a mastermind last week in Phoenix. And like, everyone's trying to be on their own path, but then you got some dude that's in the group that's bought 1,500 houses in the last year.
No, 1,500 units.
100, units in the last year. And we're looking at it go, like, we gotta step it up. Like, what are we doing? Like, and you start to lose it because then you start to attach yourself on that vision. And then I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse than 1,500 units. Like, if you start to like back it out, but you do get hooked in to these like big things. And we have some, again, when you're masterminding, it is the best thing for you, but you do have to detach yourself and create in your own vision, because otherwise you start going off thinking you need more. And do you need more? Because you don't see behind the curtain, right? You don't see what that takes and the stress of that. And he can't sleep at night because he's got 1,000 units not rented or whatever it could be,
right?
That or being rehabbed at once. And there's millions and millions and millions of dollars being thrown around.
Our buddy Ricardo says it well. He says, build your own Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we got to do. Don't look at all these other people that are doing certain things, and say, oh, I need to I want to do exactly what they're doing. Yeah, maybe you want to do some of the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
But you need to build a real estate business that, serves you, not a business that you are consistently serving. And I'm still working on that, guys. I'm no expert at this.
100%.
Having these conversations, I think, are really, really helpful, though, because it reminds us, A, where we've been, and B, where we're at. But C, the more important thing is where we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just talked as well, Dave, like, me and you, and you've done more than me, but we're traveling to this event and that event. You can't implement all this stuff. You just
and that's something I'm really struggling with right now is, going out and learning about a new strategy. And then I come back to the office with my team and I'm like, guys, we need to start doing more of this, but the problem is if I'm holding this cup, right, and I want to pick up this cup, right, I got to put this one down to be able to pick this one up. And I know this is a very stupid, simple analogy.
You're 100% right.
But like, I can't hold both cups all day. I can't.
Yep.
There's just not enough, and there's not enough time. There's not enough resources. There's not enough energy to do all these things. So we really got to just focus, and we got to figure out what it is we want to do. Maybe that's wholesaling. Maybe that's rental properties. Maybe that's fix and flip. Maybe that's something virtual, maybe that's just a part of your business that you like doing. It could be acquisitions, could be dispositions. Maybe that to you is just working on the business and not having anything to do with working in the business, but that's going to require a team of people working in the business, so on and so forth. So
yeah,
100% agree, guys.
And as business owners, we only want to, especially for me, I just want to focus on like the things that work. Sometimes I miss the fine detail when I make decisions because I don't want to think about it not working or them other little things. I did it with flipping. You go all in and you're deep in and you go, well, I ignored these little things that matter. And then all of a sudden you're too deep in, right? And sometimes that's an entrepreneur though. And that's why having the right team to pull you back, going, hold on a minute, we ain't even implemented last week's idea. Now you're trying to do this. Like them pulling you and reining you in are important because we often need slowing down, not speeding up.
Gavin, I agree 100%
So
because when you don't take the time to just slow down, focus, get good at one or two things, what ends up happening is you start building this to-do list. And then before you know it, this to-do list is 5 pages long. And then what ends up happening, and I deal with this every day, guys. I'm not perfect. I get analysis paralysis because I'm like, man, I want to implement all of these things. And there's all these things that I want to do that I'm not doing. And then I'll slowly kind of shift my energy into trying to learn a new thing or do a new thing. And I'm dropping balls on the other side.
Yeah.
So just having
it's a common thing. I love this, right? When I have a client that's doing 2 or 3 deals a month, right? Or 1 deal a month, and they go, oh, I want to go into a virtual market, right? And I'm like, well, just do more in that market and get that one up first. Or they're doing 4 deals a month and they'll go virtual and do 2 and 2. And now you're doing the same amount of deals, but you're working harder and you're stressed out about the second market because it's newer. Like them things don't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And people do that because they're going for that growth because it's cool to say I'm in multiple markets rather than actually building it and getting out. Like, for Bryson, for instance, like he's at the stage now where acquisition's the hardest thing to fill. I'm telling you right now, like building a business. Like
absolutely.
For you to remove that last part is going to be like it's your first deal again, right? To get that right person, But once you do it, then you'll drive on. Then
so this is a great way to transition into talking a little bit about Bryson's team and some of the goals that he has. So yeah, man. So you said that your main acquisitions right now, or I should rephrase, your main lead source is the cold calling.
Yep.
And that you guys are going to be implementing, correct me if I'm wrong, AdWords come
PPC,
quarter one. And then you're going to be sprinkling in a little bit of SMS and mail, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Correct.
But the main acquisitions is cold calling. Are you guys doing the cold calling internally, or do you have a team of callers?
I have a team of callers. They manage them. So we send the data to them, but they manage, all the callers and dialer and everything like that. So, right now we have 5. We're actually going up to 7. We had 2.
Callers,
so actually 2 with another service are ending today. So we have 5 with the one that we are fully committed to. Well, for now, let's say that much. Sure. And we're probably going to add 2 more with them. So they've been averaging 2 to 3 leads a day. So we're averaging about 15 new leads a day right now.
2 to 3 per caller. That's great.
Yeah, it's solid.
That's solid, so, man. 15 leads a day is solid. That's great. That'll keep you busy on the phones. And so are you're doing all local, right? You're not messing with anything like too virtual, or are you?
No, just St. Louis and the neighboring 4 counties, essentially.
Nice.
We do a little bit of Warren County, Jefferson County, St. Charles, St. Louis, and St. Louis City. So not virtual in that. I mean, I wouldn't consider that virtual, even though most of our, I'd say 80-90% of our deals are contracted over the phone.
Nice.
So we're not.
Are you running appointments on these deals after or before? Probably after.
After, yeah. So we're not seeing any
contract first, and then you're going out and running an appointment. What percentage of these deals are you not running appointments on, or not necessarily you, but your team?
I mean, we are sending a photo runner for the ones we get
At
under
a minimum.
contract. At a minimum, or
Right.
if it's my, instead of that, if I just know it's a hot deal, especially if it's like not too far, I'll like meet my VIP buyers over there to walk it. Me,
Sure.
myself,
Yeah.
you know, so just because it's quick, I'm like, cool, I know it'll be sold today. Let's just meet them over there. Cool. I can see the property. And, you know, if something was just crazy there, then I'd have pictures as well. But everything else, I'm just sending, you know, photo runner after we get the property under contract, and then, you know, get it into marketing. So it's not something that I'm 100% sold on, because I do know that we are missing opportunity at the same time, in my opinion. Just because, you know, we're just Midwest people. Like, some people, I'm sure, just want to meet who the hell they're doing business with, you know. So I think we are missing some opportunity there, but I've shifted towards that because it's like I'm doing it, you know,
Yeah,
and I'm
absolutely.
also, you know, so it's
there's
like
going to be pros
I'm
and
trying to
cons with
save.
anything and everything in life is going to have a pro and a con. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
When it comes to the real estate acquisitions and rapport building, you know, the first 5 years, guys, my number one goal was to get an appointment, no matter what. Oh, we got a seller.
You were Mr. Set 'em. Tell them I'll be there. Set a time. I'm on my way.
I would tee them up and I'd say, hey, when can I come out and see it? I can be there in 40 minutes. Are you there now? If not, how about this afternoon or this evening? What about tomorrow? You know, what about Friday? You know, when can I come? And I would try to get out and I'd try to build the rapport in person, get them to know me, get them to like me, hopefully get them to trust me, so they would want to do business with me. Well, when COVID hit, guys, I had to rethink everything, because people weren't like in a hurry to like let me some stranger come walk through their house, you know? So,
and this is the cool thing when it comes back to the vision, because that's all it is. I've never got a contract face to face. I've always been virtual. So you can see the difference in the way that you set things up and the way that you think about things. And it comes down to, because Dave's 100% right. I mean, in sales, if you can get face to face, you're always better.
it's going to be easier
for me,
right?
But it wasn't an option. So you build it differently, you know, because of that. So when everyone's panicking and flapping around because of COVID, I ain't running appointments anyway. So
you were
it doesn't matter. You see, like, obviously, luckily, it was on that side. So, and sometimes, you know, you have to go out. I don't go out, but my team has to go out if it's a certain seller. You know, we all have them, but we try to do more on the phone. But I think it comes back, and I just wanted to jump in because it's back to that vision, because Dave's plan, that was the plan. The plan was to set an appointment, to get face to face. So what do? You execute the plan, and that's what you do. For me, I ain't going to the house. I'm doing it from a phone or laptop when I'm in England or wherever I am. So my plan is you've got to work the phone. So it's just, once you have your plan and your vision and your plan and everything else, then you execute, and the execution is what's going to get the result.
Yeah. So Bryson, I'm agreeing with you. It may not sound like it, but I am.
No, you are, Dave. You're
100%. Yeah. No. Well, here's why. Because, you know, we are in a place in our business right now where we are bringing it back to the running the appointment first. And Bryson, you had said something that really stuck out to me. You said, we may be leaving deals on the table. And here's the thing, pros and cons. You may be, but at the same time, you may be better off by trying to lock them up, because that conversation may only take 20 or 30 minutes, whereas I'm spending 30, 40 minutes just to get there, 30, 40 minutes at the appointment, 30, 40 minutes getting back. And then I may need to eat or something else. So before you know it, there's 3 or 4 hours that are gone, and I might not even get the deal when I go run those appointments. So there's pros and cons. There's no right way to do this. Appointment first, then contract. It's a great approach. Contract first, then appointment. It's a great approach. There's no right or wrong way. So I think it kind of comes back to build your own Frankenstein. What works for you? If your virtual appointments aren't going to really make sense, but if you're local I would highly encourage anybody and everybody that's listening, especially if you're new and you're not necessarily sure what to do, or you're trying to maybe get more deals, get out and meet those people. If you're local, shake some hands. And I've done appointments that have lasted 2.5 hours. I mean, it wasn't intended, but the guy or the woman or the old lady or the old man or whatever, they just wanted to talk. And I just would think, you know what? If I'm going to win this deal, I need to be a good listener in this case, even though I got 14 other things I need to be doing right now. I need to sit here and listen to this guy. And then after 2.5 hours, I could then, come in with the close and say, well, I think I can really help you, but I need you to sign this agreement to get this done and to even give me the option and the ability to try to help you. So again, pros and cons, guys. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We're all essentially kind of doing it a little different, each of us.
Yeah. And it's understanding as well when you start building a team and working with, partners or acquisition, it's understanding, what they want as well. A lot of my team travel as well. I have my team on in all different places and states. So it's just getting, trying to stay in your lane. And again, that was one of the biggest things that we did when we went into the flip business, is that we couldn't do them same things, right? Because we overlooked certain things, didn't have key players in position. So then it distracts from everything. And then you waver from that. And that's about learning and getting back on track. And that's what we're working on right now is to get back and stick with what stick with what works, and not actually follow this suit because it looks good. And I got the shiny with that. I thought we were leaving money on the table. We should be taking these down and flipping them. And hey, you live and you learn. And so I'm excited to get back on track as well.
I love it. Let's try to knock out a couple of these comments here, guys, and then we'll take it back to Bryson here. So Matt says, when I started, I used to sort lists all day and try to do busy work. It's all about the revenue generating activity, guys, making offers and talking to people. And that doesn't really matter if you're doing it in person, which is what I try to tend to lean to doing, or if you're doing it like Gavin and Bryson, where you are just using the phones and you're locking them up on the phones, and then you go run send a photo runner, or maybe even you or somebody on your team just goes and does some inspections on the property. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just what works well for you. Matt says it's also about problem solving, and that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we're doing, is we're solving problems. Robert says, so good, David. It's true. You cannot motivate people. We're supposed to look for people with the problems that need solving. That's exactly it. I can't force somebody to have these problems. But what I can do, and what we all can do, is we can find people that have these problems, and they hopefully are ready to address and solve these problems today. But if not, we can make a friend with that person. So when they are ready, we're here to help them. We can't force 100%. Them to be ready today, but we can be there when they are ready. I love that. All right, let's see here. Matt says you need to have the ability to figure out the person's decision center. Find out if they are head, heart, gut person. Think how they do. I love it. And that's really just, trying to relate, and that's really just a part of building rapport. It's going to be hard to get somebody to know you, like you, especially trust you, if you're pushy, or, you're not talking to them that they want to be talked to, or you're not listening or whatever. So that's a really, really good point. Robert says, thanks for speaking reality to the listeners. I'm receiving this wisdom too. No problem, Robert. That's the whole point, man. It's the whole point of this, right? Absolutely. Robert says, always learning. Amen. Adam says, I think it's relevancy. People want to feel important. And that could be, I think it depends on a couple factors, but definitely. Matt says, I've enjoyed Don's coaching group because we get so many different coaches' perspectives, and you're getting different perspectives on this. And it's always good to have those different perspectives. Paul says, keep leading the way, guys. Keep leading the way.
St. Louis guy. My guy, Paul. I like it.
All right. We're almost done with some of these comments. We got a bunch of comments today. This is great. I want cash now, cash flow, and cash later. Not want to be greedy, just want win, win, win for everybody. I think we all want that.
Right.
There's certain ways to go about getting cash now. cash flow, and cash later. So again, that's really going to depend on what strategy and what approach you, the listener, the viewer, wants to get into, because not all these strategies and approaches are going to have cash now. Not all of them are going to have cash flow, and not all of them are going to have cash later. In fact, getting all three of those is going to be pretty challenging. It's possible, but you're going to have to find that niche.
Yeah. Robert's doing, I know Robert, he's doing like sandwich lease options. So getting money up front, staying in the middle, cash flowing it, and then selling it on the back end.
Amen.
Yeah, Paul says, crazy feeling like you're alone, but everyone is going through the same thing at every level. It's all about the balance. Man, it 100%. Is all about the balance.
Yeah, it's different manifestations, but it's all rooted in the same challenges, honestly.
Yep. Tim says, Gavin, don't you worry that you're not seeing the home?
No, I don't. I actually used to prefer it. Again, from a mindset, like when I got into real estate, obviously I know nothing about real estate when I got in. Was joke. I'd never picked up a book, read a book, watched cleaning, none of that. Can you hear my dogs barking?
No.
I have this noise cancelling. Someone's ringing the door. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't worry about it, because my mindset was I don't want to go into a house, because I felt if I go into a house, I need to know and understand all my repairs, right? So my mindset was, if I go in and I got to make an offer now, well, I'm the expert. I should know what a roof costs and paint, and if it needs flooring and wiring. I don't know anything. Because remember, I believe we're in the marketing business, right? We're in sales and marketing, especially when we're acquiring discounted properties. So for me, I thought if I'm not in the house, I could blame it on the seller in the renegotiation based on the repairs. So I used to build in my spread, build in the buyer's spread based on the repairs that they said was needed. I'd build that in. And then guess what? When we sent out a buyer and there was nothing wrong but a paint and carpet, but it needed a new kitchen, it needed a new roof and this, then I would say, well, I hadn't seen the house, so I actually use that to my advantage. That's how I would negotiate with the seller based on the repairs.
I love that you have framed it that way, because a lot of people are going to get stressed out, like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen this home. Like, is it okay for me to send a contract and an offer? And here's the thing that I really want to just emphasize just for 1 second. The negotiations don't typically start until the property's under contract. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, what? Wait, what? Yeah, you're going to negotiate on getting a good price, right? They're going to want more. You're going to want less. That's going to be pretty obvious, right? But the main negotiations are typically going to happen after that property's under contract, because we put that property under contract with inspection periods and contingencies to go do the due diligence. I don't ever expect my team to have 100% of the due diligence done when we're sending the offer. And more so, especially if we're not running the appointment first. Meaning, if we're just doing this on the phone, and it seems to me like Gavin's doing the majority of that, and Bryson too, that, we don't know the repairs. All we know is what they tell us. And if they aren't telling us the truth, and or they just don't know what the cost of this stuff is, that's the reason that negotiation may change later, or that we may even have to go back and renegotiate. We don't know until we get our buyers in, or until we send our photo guy out, or we personally get out to these properties, look at them, and determine those things. So Manny says,
I leverage that. I leverage that kind of like Gavin. It's like in that conversation when we're closing or on that, call to get all the information on the condition, it's like we fully explain our buying process in those calls. Yep. So it's like we know the next step upon, getting an offer is that we're sending you a contract. So we walk them through that, but at the same time, we're asking so many questions, and once they agree to that process, it's like I'm putting the responsibility on them to tell me everything about the property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's fine. If you want to mislead me on the condition, cool. That's fine.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's-
right. But we're gonna come back
That's
later.
okay.
We're gonna tell you
Yeah.
that we can still close, but it's gonna be at this number,
Absolutely.
not that number. Right.
And I think we get, I think that's that limited belief of that. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to say most wholesalers, but for me, it's like, you're like, well, yeah, what about the repair costs? What about all this? And it's like, it's an as is transaction, but you still have contingencies.
Always.
In if you're
Always.
selling it on the market, it doesn't matter if it's rehab. Somebody's like, great, yeah, my offer stands if you can put in new appliances. So it's like, what's the difference? We're just going to buy it as is, and we're not requiring you to do anything. That's the only difference.
That's exactly
You're
right.
not paying any fees. That's the only difference. It's still a real estate transaction. So it's like, we come back, we probably have to negotiate more or renegotiate more, maybe even have a lower success rate doing it virtually. I know I'll speak for myself that we do. Compared to somebody running appointments and pulling that. But it's like, okay, that's fine. We looked at it, and I'm always kind of putting, like Gavin said, it's like, if it doesn't work out, we're both taking responsibility in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm just the guy who backs out of deals if something goes wrong in due diligence, so
exactly right.
kind of getting that upfront agreement that we're working together on this deal.
I love it. Melissa says, keep it simple, stupid. I love that. I live my whole life by that. Right. I'm not very smart. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what we have to get back to. And I think that Melissa's onto something, because
Melissa's one of my business partners, so she
nice.
But,
we also try to overcomplicate things, which leads to analysis paralysis, which leads to inaction. And at the end of the day, what we need to do is we just need to take action. We need to get on the phone or get out in the field and meet these people. And who was it? Manny says a second ago, we're in the marketing business. So if you're not doing marketing to find these sellers or to get your information in front of the sellers so they can call you, you don't have a business. Let me repeat that. If you're not doing marketing, you don't have a business. I love it. All right, guys, I want to be respectful of Bryson's time. So let's, we got a couple more minutes here, of course. Melissa says, keep it simple. And then she also says, we rarely see a home before we close on it unless we are flipping it. I love that. And I think that's a great approach. Robert has asked a couple questions here. This is like his second or third one that I haven't clicked on, because this is a little bit more high level, a little bit more niche, but I am going to just shed some light on this. He says he's bought a few sub-twos under his LLC. Should I go and switch them into a trust? Gavin, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm not a massive sub-2 person. So
yeah, me too. I mean, I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to do them necessarily. I think there's going to be pros and cons.
Tax person, really. Whatever's best for taxes.
I'd say contact your contact your
Bryson?
lawyer on that. I'd say contact your attorney on that, because I mean, if you have a sub-2 and an LLC, I mean, I don't know if you mean the same LLC that like your wholesaling business or the marketing company's under, but either way, I don't. I mean, I'm not in sub-2. I'm not in sub-2, but I'm not gonna have any other LLC.
I've only done one or two sub-2s. I'm not a huge fan of them, but some people love them, and that's their entire model. And I'm not saying anything negative about sub-2. I just particularly don't lead with that. I've done a couple, but to me,
but I know my colleagues and peers, I know a bunch of them hold sub-2 properties in trust. I will say that much.
Yeah, I think the trust is probably going to be your safest and cleanest, but it's going to probably be the most complicated, most time consuming to try to get that set up. But again, pros and cons.
And this is not official legal advice, by the way.
That's
Robert.
right.
Sure. I personally, as well, I wouldn't be holding LLCs in my regular rentals or any properties in my main LLC.
Yeah, if anything, have an additional a second or a third LLC that you hold those in just by themselves. I love it. Yeah. Well, Bryson, I do want to be respectful of your time. It's 12:03. Awesome. Just before we wrap up here, man, tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now, and what are some of your goals, man?
Yeah, so we are really my biggest goal is that I can have every seat filled in my company next year. Everything.
And right now
so
it's just you and another person. You said you and Lauren.
Yeah, me, Lauren. We outsourced a bunch of stuff to an ops team. We're bringing on a transaction coordinator next week.
Nice.
So we're slowly getting there. Filling up that, but that's my big goal on a structural level, not like income or revenue level. Is to my personal vision is getting into the CEO seat of the company next year. So that's pretty much
you already have callers, so you've automated the marketing.
Yep.
Somewhat. You're not on the
somewhat
doing the cold calling anymore, I can't imagine.
Absolutely. And we're in the process of actually working with an ops team that is going to take over all the data marketing. That's going to be completely on autopilot. So we're handing that over. So a bunch of structural ops type of stuff going on right now in the business, and onboarding a guy in sales as well. So a bunch of stuff going on. Thank God
that sales guy, will he be in acquisitions?
He's going to be in acquisitions. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
So
Dilo says, does Bryson have social media? And I almost forgot, guys, if you want to connect with Bryson, what's the best way for people to connect with you, bud?
Yeah, best way is on Instagram. It's my first and last name. I think you guys can probably see it in the screen right now. Just at Bryson Duvall, spelled exactly how it is on the screen. That's my Instagram. Also on Facebook, with my name as well. So feel free to reach out, connect. If you got any questions for me, usually when I get downtime during the day, I respond to IG messages.
Nice. I just made a comment, guys, on the IG. It's I forgot the little @ sign, but Bryson Duvall, full name. I spelled that right. I think it looks good. Yep. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, it's getting from we've done pretty well for me doing most of the acquisitions. We're finishing the year a little bit over 600. So I'm trying to take that to multi-millions in the next 18 months and wholesale revenue. So we got some lofty goals for sure, but definitely attainable with our trajectory. And it's funny, like Gavin said, talking about a virtual market. I think are going to a different market, and I look at like my deal flow and all this stuff, and it's like I probably have like 0.8 of the market share in St. Louis.
It's like a lot of houses out there. There's a lot of motivated sellers. It's just getting
it's
out.
Like I haven't seen Dave at an appointment. I haven't seen any of the big guys at an appointment. I haven't seen, what I mean? I haven't really felt like there's, we're all operating, all doing deals where so many motivated sellers out there that need our help on any given day, no matter what.
100%.
So
no matter what.
So right. Yeah, just trying to drill into, but those are, my two goals going forward really is just, kind of more of a lifestyle and structural goal. And then obviously the second one is the income. And we're trying to get into some development right now. We got a land deal under contract that hopefully bringing in partners that will take the heavy load on that, but we have a planning meeting this Friday, so it's pretty exciting to get off in that space and take somebody's lead that's been mentoring me in that space. So just trying to build it out and automate the wholesale business to give us opportunities in development and building wealth and holding property. Really, that's a big thing, and automate the regular cash flow coming into the wholesale business.
Man, I love it. Bryson, it is always a pleasure getting to connect and talk with you, man. I really, really appreciate your time today.
Definitely,
I know the audience really, really enjoyed having you on today. So, dude, thank you so much for being a part of this. And
Absolutely.
Guys, don't forget, if you want to connect with Bryson, I know he does a little coaching on the side. So if you want to connect with Bryson, please do. Instagram is going to probably be the best way to connect with him. His handle is at Bryson Duvall, BRYSANDUVALL. His full name.
That's it.
He is an outstanding guy. I am super grateful to call him a friend, and I'm looking forward to doing more deals with Bryson down the road.
For sure, man. For sure, we got to connect, man. Gavin, it was nice meeting you, brother.
Likewise, appreciate you. Thanks,
absolutely.
Dave. All right, guys. Well, don't forget, if you have not subscribed to where you're watching this, assuming it's on a YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, like this post so we can reach a wider audience. And we do this every week, same time, same place.